Hi everybody and welcome. If you're new to my channel, I'm Linda Carroll and this is my studio. If you haven't seen the latest videos I did, it's about renewing my studio for the spring and the new beginnings happening. And I'm so grateful that I have this light-filled space. And I have to say that the energy in here totally changed when we rearranged the studio and added more storage areas and just cleaned up, purged, and it's much lighter and brighter in here now. So today we're going to continue doing our art journal on cracking open. And all of a sudden, I've had a number of quotes presented to me in books and on TV and on the internet. And one of them, I think I was watching a YouTube video about Jungian psychology, and there was a quote by the young man who was narrating the program, and it said, you crack open the hardness of the ego and you begin to serve the soul. And I thought that was just a great quote for what we're doing in our art journal these days. We all need an ego. Our ego is what helps us exist in this world. It protects us. It is the face that we present to the world in all situations. And it's very important to develop a strong ego, especially younger in life. When you're out there, you're making your way in the world, you're making yourself known in whatever career path you've chosen. And hopefully along the way, you're in touch with the other parts of yourself. But in later life, and I'm in the second half of my life, the ego is, or should be, developed enough that you're able to crack through that part of your being in order to dive deeper into your soul or your psyche. You go down into the depths and you find the subconscious, the collective consciousness, where the archetypes live, and where there's probably unknown things to you. More than likely, there are a lot of things that you've stashed away, kept hidden, but they come forward in a lot of different ways, in meditation, which we've done here on the channel, but also in our dreams at night. And no matter how much study has been done, the medical world, the psychological world, our everyday world doesn't really, or can't really explain where dreams come from. And for me, I think that there are a lot of different levels of dreams. There are dreams that you have where you are just kind of going through what happened in your day, things that relate to your work. But there are also very creative dreams and spiritual dreams that, for me, are the most important types of dreams. And I have been doing dream journaling and dream work since the early 90s, and probably long before then. But actually writing down my dreams and trying to figure out my own inner dictionary of dream symbols and characters and things that help reveal what might be hiding down there in my subconscious and in the collective unconsciousness, and try to figure myself out, to know my true self, to know who I was when I originally chose to come here to this planet and be embodied as a human, and have human experiences. So today, what we're going to be doing is working with dreams. Now, some of you may not remember dreams, but that's okay. You don't really have to remember a specific dream when we're doing this art journal page. But I'm going to talk to you about a dream that I had, and actually had just last night while we're getting ready to do the art journal. So I'm going to switch the camera around and show you some images that I have found and what we're going to do with them today in our journal. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay. As I was cleaning up my studio, I found some collages that I had worked on. This one is probably from 2006, and I think there might be just a little bit of a glare on here, but I was trying to figure out how to show a dreamscape, and this is what I came up with to portray what it feels like when you're in that dreamy time and during sleep, and to show some of the archetypal images that come forth when you're asleep and when you're dreaming and getting messages or archetypal characters appearing in your dreams. And this is what we're going to be working on today in our art journals. You can see the different techniques that I used. I divided this page into 3 fairly equal sections and across the page. And then I have this box in the middle with lines coming out, perspective lines coming out from the corners. So things seem to be flowing out of the middle, and for me that designated the images coming up from my subconscious mind. And it's so creative. I mean, and that's what I wanted to portray. Things that have a reality to them, but they're surreal at the same time. So images come in and float out and through in this particular piece. Some of the images are upside down here. Some of them are right side up. And this little blurb that I have in this circle is all about ways of exploring your psyche. And in this particular one, it's talking about using the tarot or tarot readings in order to shed light on some of the complex images that appear in or from your psyche. So I have a picture, part of a picture of Marilyn Monroe over here, just her eyes and part of her hair, which she could be an archetypal figure. I know she's important in my life. There are circus animals, all different kinds of things that these images all just appealed to me, and I wanted to include them in this particular dreamscape. Your subconscious, or my subconscious, let's say, yours too, that's where my creativity is coming from. And my most creative, most imaginative images that I use in my collages come from my subconscious or my collective unconscious. if you've never read or dived into Jungian psychology, I'll put some links down below, but you don't have to know anything about that to enjoy creating this particular art journal page. I just want to let you know that that's where I got a lot of my quotes from, and I resonate with Jung's writings, and a lot of his beliefs have become mine as well. So we're going to be working on this in our art journal, and the first thing you need to do is, if you can remember a dream that you may have written down, or a dream that maybe you had last night that you want to portray some of the images, and you need to find those images and go on a search in catalogs, online, in magazines, through your stash, to find images that really, really resonate with you and your dreams, your thoughts, your intuition. And the best way to do that is to just go through magazines and pull out things that catch your eye immediately. Last night I had a dream about a green hand. It was a neon green hand, much brighter than this, and it glowed. There was a glow around the hand. I don't know if you can see a lot of the details in this particular hand, but I'm going to add them probably with color pencils when I get my collage finished and I go in and start doing my embellishing. But this hand was reaching out to me. It was a right hand, and it was reaching out to me, and it came through a black rock wall. So when I saw this hand, it was reaching out towards me, much like this hand. And it startled me. The dream kind of startled me, but I wasn't afraid. And it felt like it was getting ready to hand something to me or invite me into this wall that it was coming through, coming out of. It wasn't busting through. It wasn't cracking through. It was just coming through this black wall. So I knew I wanted to include this green hand. And then I found this statue in my stash. Ooh, it's starting to thunder. And then I found this other goddess in my stash. I don't know who these two are, but I just loved the images. So the next thing I'm going to do is look for more images to include in my collage, and then but first let's go ahead and lay out the collage in our art journal. We're going to do a double spread, this one. Okay, we're going to do a double spread for this art journal page. And the first thing I'm going to do is put some tape down the center, just regular masking tape, down the center of this page. And I just want to reinforce this fold. And most of this, if not all of it, will be covered up with images and or paint. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is divide up my page, and let's see, my pencil here. I had 3, 3, and 5. Okay. All right, let's go 3 inches, 3 inches, and then I'll have 5 and 3/8 here in the middle. Okay, let's go 3 and 3, and let's go ahead and connect our lines. And let's see what we had on this one. I had about 4.5 on this one. But we want this to be a square. So if we go 5 1/4, the center of that would be 2 1/2 and 1/8. So let's mark that 5 1/4. Okay, and then we're going to go from this corner out to the outside edge, this corner out to the outside corner, this corner to the outside corner, and then the last corner. Okay, there we have the basic layout of our collage and exactly what we're going to be working with here in our art journal. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and fussy cut these images and look for some more images that resonate with me and some of the dreams that I've had, and also just intuitively look for images that seem to call to me, okay? And I'll take you along on some of my searches, and we'll gather together some images that we're going to use. Okay, so let's go ahead and fussy cut this. Okay, I think I have enough to begin with. And I found this background that I printed out of the black rock face that I saw in my dream. So I do want to put that down first, and then we'll work from there. Now this black background should recede back into the middle of this square. Let's see what happens. Let's see. Where do I want it? Let's put it this way. And this hand was just coming out of the rocks. Like that. So let's lay that there. And let's see what else I found here. I really like this goddess head. And what I want to do is, you know, follow these lines in my cutting so that I'm retaining these sections of the layout. So what we're going to do is just kind of lay everything out, and then we can start gluing it down. Okay, like that. And I really want to use her, but I think I'm only going to be able to use parts of her. And you know how when you're dreaming, it's like you may not be able to see the entire scene. Things seem to be floating sometimes. They make sense, but they don't make any sense. And that's kind of what I'm looking for in this collage. As I was going through my stash and my sticker books, I saw a lot of things that reminded me of dreams I've had in the past. And I took those things out. Okay. Now these stickers are going to stick. So I'm going to put him there. Let's see what else I have. One of my first memories that I have as a little girl was sleeping in a hammock, and it wasn't an open hammock like this one. This one's open like fishnet, but it was closed, and they took a big pin, my parents or my mom took a big pin and pinned the hammock closed. So I was laying down, I was just little, and I could see the rays of sunlight coming through the hammock, and the hammock was a plaid, like with reds and oranges and blacks and yellows in it. And I could peek through, the knit was wide enough, I could peek through. And when I looked through the back of the hammock, I could see a goat's head over the fence. And when I got older and could talk, I couldn't even talk at that point in time. I told my mother about this, and she said, well, Linda, I don't know what you're talking about, because, there were no goats living. It was definitely a field, but she said there were no goats living in the on the property behind them. So I'm not quite sure what I thought I saw, but as a little girl, a tiny girl, somehow I recognized what I thought was a goat. But who knows? And there are typical dreams that people have that include these archetypal images, and these are images that appear in myth and fairy tales and in a lot of different cultures in different ways. And one of those images is the snake. And I've had a number of dreams that included snakes. And I don't like snakes. I'm afraid of snakes, but snakes represent transformation and being able to outgrow one's skin and live again. So if you have a snake in your dream, that's a good thing. And I find I'm repeating shapes like these circles. I want to repeat them. And life really is kind of a wheel of chance. I don't know that everything is foretold. And then comes to pass. Okay, let's see what else I have here. This is looks like a very loving mother and child. Kind of like Persephone and Demeter, or Demeter. Okay, this is growing, and I'm liking what is happening here. It does look very dreamy with the movement that's happening throughout. I'm looking at my original piece, and I see that behind here, oh, there's the rest of Maryland up here. I put a large picture behind this side and this side. I either used watercolor or pan pastels. So I think I'm going to look for some more images. I don't think I have all of the images that I want in here. And then I'm going to start gluing this down. But I'm really liking the way this is coming out. One thing that I did not tell you was the dream with the green hand actually woke me up. And I lifted my head up off of the pillow and I opened my eyes, and in front of me I had a resonance or a remnant of this dream. I saw the green hand, the neon green hand, right in front of me, and behind it I could see the light coming through the blinds at my window in the bedroom. I could see the outline of my husband underneath the covers. But this hand was just there in front of me. And this happens sometimes. Usually it happens when you're just falling asleep. It didn't upset me. It didn't bother me. And I laid my head back down on the pillow, closed my eyes, and went back to sleep. Now, I could have dreamt all that. And if I did, that's okay. But it was so real. The waking up, the lifting my head up off of the pillow and looking, opening my eyes, and expecting to see just darkness, and seeing this hand reaching out to me, hovering in front of me. And that's only the second time something like that has happened to me. And it's happened in the last, I'd say month. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. I'm going to keep track of of when these happenings do happen and write about them in my journal. But I want what I'm trying to do in this collage is get this dreamy feeling of movement and motion. And I think I am getting there. One thing I don't like about these stickers are the white edges. And where I need to, I am cutting them off, like this creature that I glued down in the rocks. So I'm going to look for some more images. But you know what? I think I want to glue these down because I'm getting a lot of them, and I just want to make sure that they don't get scattered. So let's see here. I want to pick up miniatures. I'm going to darken some of these edges because I don't want the white showing. And I am going in on this one and defining the shadows more. But I'll do all that detail work at the end. I seem to have a lot of dreams about trains. And I like this particular image here. Remember your edges. Remember you are checking your edges, making sure that where the edges meet makes sense. So on some of these, I'm going to make an exception and go ahead and glue over top of the dividing line. And what that will do, and especially since I'm overlapping this bottle, is make it look like this is coming even further forward. But then I'm going to play on that, and I'm going to put the fox on top of it. So again, it's not really making any logical sense, which is what's so interesting about your dream life. Number one, it doesn't have to make a logical sense. And number two, the imagination is at play here. And your imagination and your creative side usually does not work with logic. It works with impulse and intuition, and it does work with intention, or we probably wouldn't get anything done or accomplished. But logic usually doesn't play a whole lot of, a very, very big part in artwork like this. Now, logic and measurement will come into play, especially if you're working with perspective, but you can play with that perspective too, which is what we're doing now. We're not following the rules of perspective and layering, to show perspective. We're kind of breaking the rules, which might upset the logical part of your brain. And your ego might say, now, what are you doing? Don't go there. That's not safe. Your ego tries to keep you as safe as it can, even while it's defending you. And it serves a purpose, a big purpose in your life. But it also usually doesn't want you venturing down into the subconscious or the collective unconscious, because it has no control there. And ego is pretty much all about control. And I'm not sure how this is going to turn out. I didn't finish the last one, so I'm really not sure exactly how this particular collage is going to work. I've had dreams where I turn into birds, become birds and fly, especially hawks. I remember a very vivid dream I had where I turned into a hawk and flew. I was inside the house and flew up, sat against a window, you ever dreamt you're in a plane crash, or there's a plane crash in your dream? I've dreamt that a lot. Okay, we're back. It's actually the next day, and all of my glue has dried. Everything is down securely. So the next step is to do the background, and I've been experimenting with using pan pastels, and I've decided to use this turquoise color for the top area and the bottom area. And if you've never used pan pastels before, they are like regular pastels, only I think they go on much smoothly. You use these little applicators that are either provided by the pan pastel company like these, or these are little makeup applicators, eye makeup applicators. So I'm going to be using turquoise, raw umber, and a neutral gray, and we'll see what happens from there. I actually woke up this morning thinking about this collage and the background and how I was going to work with the background. So I'm just going to play with it and see where we go, see what it looks like when I get the background color put in, and then we'll decide what to do next. So let's start with the blue, and I'm going to approach this just like I do and have done in my art journals for quite a while. I apply the color darker up next to the image, and then lighter as I move away from the image. And then I go in with my color pencils and do more shading around the images. So I'm going to go ahead and do the top and the bottom in blue, and the sides in the raw umber and the neutral gray. So I don't know if I'm going to speed up or I'm going to cut this part out and, you know, just go ahead and do this off camera and then come back. That's probably what I'm going to do. So I'll be back in just a few seconds, your time. Okay, I have the first coat of the pan pastels in the background here at the top and bottom and on each side, and I'm beginning to feel like I can feel the expansion of these images coming forward and coming out of the picture plane, and it appears to me that they are very, very dreamlike. Now, usually what I do next is I go in with a color pencil and refine some of my shading. Now, I've been using these Lyra color pencils. They're giant pencils. They're made in Germany. And I've been using them in my neurographic drawings. And I like the way they blend. And I'm just gonna experiment here. You know, that's what your journal, your art journal's all about, is experimenting, seeing what works, what doesn't work, and what you like and what you don't like. And I don't know that I can get this crayon or color pencil sharp enough to actually get into these edges here like I want to. But it definitely will work here on my lines. To get a little bit deeper and sharper line here. I like that much better. Oh, that's nice. Okay, I have a French gray here and my blue, true blue. And basically I'm just going to work with these lines. I might come in like around this picture frame right here and around the bottom of the lighthouse right here, since it's so close to the edge, and work some. But these pieces, I want them to feel as though they are floating, so they're not going to cast a lot of shadow. Okay, so the hand, however, I really want to pop out. And I've been thinking about how I'm going to work with the hand. to make it appear more neon or glowing, if I add a yellow on top. Is that gonna make it brighter? I think it might. Definitely, here it is. So I'm going to go ahead and work on the hand a little bit more. Okay, needless to say, I have a lot more to do as far as my shading and working with these different images that I have here in this collage. But I just wanted to say a few things before I wrap this up, and I'll show you the totally finished collage in the next video. But one reason that when people look at these collages and they can respond to them either emotionally, they might be responding to the images, they might be responding to this focal point area here, which you usually don't find the focal point right in the middle of a collage or a drawing or a painting. But this one is so dynamic and it reaches out to you just like it did in my dream, is because these are universal characters. They're universal images that most of us carry within us and carry meanings within us, if not consciously, then subconsciously, and possibly as deep as our collective unconsciousness. So especially when you're looking at these goddess images here, animals, birds, pieces from nature, we have built-in responses to these things. And then there may be other things that we respond to because of our experiences. We respond to art and music, all of the arts, on an emotional level. And that is a deep soul level. And then those emotions show up in our bodies. We might get a chill, or we might feel really warm all over. And these are all signs that our inner selves are being activated by a piece of artwork, or a dream, or a piece of music, anything that is based in the arts, based in imagination. You'll find that you'll respond on many, many different levels. So this is my dreamscape. This was my first one. And now that I've started working on my second one, I'm going to go ahead and finish this one. And I hope you'll try doing a dreamscape too. Laying it out so that you have these lines moving from the square in the middle out to the outer edges. It just makes it feel like things are expanding outwards, coming from, and you can either have a dark space where these pieces are coming from, or you could have a very light place. In our soul, we have very, very light and very, very dark areas that we can transform. But you have the yin and the yang. You have both of those areas within you, deep within you, in your subconscious, in your psyche. So, and I think this piece celebrates both the light and the dark to go to a more logical, let's say, way of looking at a piece of art. And when we're looking at the elements of art and the principles of art, those are more, let's see, not logic-based, but maybe they are. You can see that you're not probably going to respond to it emotionally like you would with an image or words or something like that. But you can see that there is a balance on this page just by the way that it's divided up. There's balance top to bottom, side to side. In the color, there's a good balance of color. If I put color on one side, I put that same color on the other side. If I cut a piece of artwork in half, or a portion of an piece of artwork off, I placed it someplace else in the collage. You know, the edge of this geometric pattern is down here. I think the only place I did not do that was with this egg right here, because I just couldn't find a place that it really, really looked like it worked, and felt right. So all of this has meaning. It has personal meaning for me. It may have personal meaning for you, or it could have an archetypal, a universal meaning. And that's why people relate to a lot of these images. So I hope you enjoyed this piece. It was a lot of fun. I'm not, like I said, not exactly sure how it's going to end up, but I will show you the completed collage in the next video next week, so you can see exactly how it turned out. But to me, this could be almost finished just the way it is. I just have to go in and do some more shading to bring some of these images, to pop some of these images out. So I hope you have many, many, many dreams. I hope you can remember your dreams. If not, just respond to images, however you respond, emotionally, physically, if memories are brought forth. All of that is soul work. So I'm going to wish you all a great day, a happy weekend if you're watching this at the beginning of the week. Many blessings to you. Goodbye for now. I'll see you again soon.